These damn Dodgers are killing me, Sean.
Yeah, you might want to just stay away from them.
Well, they didn't hurt my parlay because I ended up winning it anyway, but not the parlay part because they pushed. So I got the minus 110 on the Reds going over.
Weren't they 7.5? They were 7.5 though.
Well, they were 7.5.
Yeah.
Oh, so I lost my.
I thought the same thing.
I thought it was 7.
No, the St. Louis Cincinnati game was 7, and you had that.
Oh, they were 7. Oh man,
you had that as the first inning and a half.
Yeah, those guys are killing me though. The Dodgers, they just need to stay. They need to score just one run, and they can't seem to get across that line. So yeah, I'm staying away from the Dodgers. They're always just one. They're killing me by one run all the time. So I guess I did lose my $10.
You know, I woke up this morning and I was on the same page as you, and then I looked and I was like, oh, it was the St. Louis Cincinnati game. It was 7, so you needed that one more run.
Jesus, and it was the night before I needed one more run from the Dodgers or from the last night, be it the Braves. I don't know. It's just terrible. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them.
Yeah,
I hate them.
And I think my new strategy, like Cleveland, Kansas City, looked like a horrible pitching matchup in a shootout or, a slugfest, and it didn't happen. It seems like every time we see that, where we see two horrible pitchers, somehow it always goes under.
Yeah, well, it's the way it goes sometimes, right? It's sports betting. We win some, you lose some, and sometimes the hook stabs you right in the heart.
And in the UAB game, I mean, I was right for the first,
I was right the whole way. What did I say?
What?
Well, I gave him the goose egg.
5-6 minutes left in the second quarter. It was 0-0, and then they got the touchdown, and then that block punt just changed the whole tide of the game, and then it was just the end from there.
5-6 seconds left to go in the game. They were at 0.
Yeah, that quarterback's not going to be an NFL quarterback. I mean, I know 0. What he's working with. But
I think it's a reflection more of the defense. I thought because I told you UAB had some good defensive linemen, and I feel like. Again, these FBS versus FCS games are always difficult because the bigger schools, in terms of playing, they just get better players. And when you get better players, it's not even what can you do?
Yeah, what makes me mad is my first instinct when I first saw the line was to go the under. You got UAB, not going to score a lot. Their defense should be able to stop them. And then I thought I've gotten so burned with that so many times last year. I'm going to, I saw – what I saw in Jacksonville State and the line being 16.5, and I thought I'll go that way instead. And of course it comes back to bite you.
Yeah. I just don't, I'm never a big fan of the smaller school against the bigger school because the bigger school, like I said, gets the bigger, stronger athlete, bigger, stronger, faster. It wins in sports. I mean, that's just the bottom line. You could break it down to that. If you're bigger, you're stronger, you're faster, you're probably going to win.
Although I will say a lot of times this week 1 of college football, a lot of upsets that we've come to know they've happened now because these teams aren't necessarily primed and ready, and they're still getting into the
Harbaugh can't coach everybody.
Yeah, I mean, Appalachian State over Michigan's the perfect example.
But Harbaugh can't coach everybody. You know what I'm saying? App State -10, Ohio +3 versus Syracuse. App State tonight, I don't think it's a close one for me. Speaking of which, Sean, there's a lot of college games to go through, a lot of which aren't even on the some of the boards. So we're going to have to kind of go through the DraftKings account to kind of get a sense of what's out there and what's not out there. So I did a lot of picks. It's tough for me the first week because I'm data reliant. There's really not a lot of data out there. So I have to rely a little bit on last year and then go back and kind of look at some qualitative stuff to see what sort of players are remaining, which ones left, if they were crucial, they're not crucial, that sort of thing. So let's go ahead and kick it off with the NCAA football. In here we have Boise State, UCF, but let's just run down. If you could pull them open in your DraftKings account, let's just run down them from top to bottom in DraftKings, and then there's so many more that we can take it from there. I know Temple Rutgers got moved to Saturday because the Temple Stadium got flooded out. So that brings us to Boise State and UCF. Boise State is on the road, catching 6.5 points. That's where the line opened. It's where it is now. Anything that you like in that spot?
Yeah, and I like an official play here. I like Boise State with the points here, plus 6.5. Obviously the money's against me because I've seen this open. At least last time I saw it yesterday, it was like 4.5, and I've seen it's been going up all day. They both got good offenses. Central Florida, though, they play better as the underdog usually than the favorite here, and 6.5 points is too much. Boise State's going to move the ball, and they're going to score against Central Florida as well.
So maybe you think about taking the over?
Yeah, possibly, but I feel Boise State doesn't give them a game, and 6.5 is way too many to give them here.
So looking at the line at 6.5, you might think it's way too many, but apparently the money bettors don't, because at 6.5, 70% of the money is still on UCF.
I would think this is one, like I said, it was 4.5 earlier. I think this is one, as it gets closer to kickoff, it would come down another half a point or a point. It probably closes at 5.5.
You think it's going to come down a whole point in a couple of hours?
A half a point to a point. I would imagine money starts coming back on Boise State now.
All right, we'll see. But looking at my rankings, again, off of last year, this isn't a game I wouldn't play no matter what, because be it 4.5, be it 6.5, be it 5.5, UCF covers, but not by enough for me to have a margin of error that I'm comfortable with. So I wouldn't touch this game if I were going to be active. I wouldn't touch this one. This would be an absolute stay away game for me. And as far as the total is concerned, I think they have a lot of these numbers spot on from last year's stats, because the way I go ahead and create potential scores, the game should go over at 68.5. I have the two teams projected to score 68.7 points. Obviously, you can't do that, so they might go to 69. Just a pass for me. Next up on is South Florida, but it's not on here. So let's go to East Carolina and Appalachian State. Yeah, then we'll go to South Florida. This is Drew's spot right here. This is a line I think, unfortunately, Drew, is right on target at 10.5. What do you think, Sean?
So DraftKings has it down to 9 now for East Carolina. I will say East Carolina gives up a ton of points and they score a ton of points. Their quarterback's really talented. I like this is one I like the over. I think that 56 is not close enough to what this is going to be. I think this is going to be a shootout. Like I said, East Carolina's talented offensively, but they have no defense. So I'm going to take the over 56 here.
You're going to take over 56.
And I would say Appalachian State's going to win, but I would not give up 9, but I also wouldn't trust East Carolina plus 9.
So according to this, East Carolina should cover. They should at 10, I had them covering by almost 4. So at 9, they should cover by almost 5. And you had App State, right? Is that who Drew had? As I remember correctly?
Yeah. Yep.
So and that's, again, Drew, that's all based off of last year's stuff. So from what I've read, it should be a pretty exciting game between the two squads. I have it, unfortunately, Sean. I hope you're right about the total, man. I have it.
You have it under?
I have it pretty much close to spot on. So I'm only off by a point. So it should be right in that neighborhood. But I think there's going to be a pretty good chance that at the end of the game, you're going to be hoping for a turnover or a field goal or the team going for 2 or something like that to get you over that number. Because according to the projections, it's going to be spot on, which is exactly, like I said, a lot of these totals today in terms of what's in NCAA football are really, looks to me like Vegas based them off of last year, because they're very, very close to my projection. So, and that's the thing. You don't really have a whole lot. You don't have any game data from this year to go off. As you have to back it off of last year's data. And then on top of that, you got to kind of make a little bit of an adjustment based upon personnel. It's a really tough thing, I think, the first week of NCAA football. So I have a little other tricky things that I like to do that might do it. So next up on the docket is South Florida and North Carolina State. This game looks like it should be a high-scoring game too, but 59. But again, I have it going over by 0.4 of a point. So, I mean, that number is right on. And it looks to me like it's close for me. Maybe South Florida getting 19 should be enough for South Florida to cover. I'm a little bit worried about that. It's a few points away from me. I look for like a 10-point margin based upon my my analysis. So if the line is just say 17, my analysis says that the team that I want to pick is going to cover by 10 or more. So in this case, it's only 7. So pretty good. I think if I were going to play this spot, I would take South Florida plus the 19. Sean, you?
Yeah, I had a hard time either way. I don't know if 19 is enough, but I definitely didn't trust taking North Carolina State, giving up 19 and trying to win this game by almost 3 touchdowns. This was one I looked at the line, saw it right away, and that was a don't touch for me.
Mm-hmm. Next game on the docket is Bowling Green versus Tennessee. Bowling Green was, I think, one of the absolute worst teams in all of college football last year. They're getting 37 points. So that's kind of reflected against the Tennessee squad. If this were the second or third game into the season, I would be all over Bowling Green getting 37 points. I'm not so sure Tennessee's offense, based upon what we saw last year. I know they're going to go up tempo. They're going to make some changes this year, but they still have some questions at the offensive line. They lit up a ton of sacks last year. Bowling Green might not be able to take advantage of that because they were so awful on both sides of the football last year. But Tennessee could struggle to get to 37 by themselves. So if Bowling Green puts 10 up on the board, which they may or may not, it would be an opportunity, I think, to take Bowling Green. I just stay away from horrible teams like Bowling Green. Plus, this is a big conference, small conference. I don't like those matchups very much either. But I'm heavily leaning Bowling Green getting 37. 5 touchdowns. Come on, man.
Yeah, this was another one that was really tough for me. I mean, Tennessee had some bright moments last year where they would come back and look really good a week or two, and it looked like they might be onto something, and then they just looked god-awful. So I don't want to give up 37 points here, but I also don't want to take Bowling Green with 37 because their defense is horrible too. I mean, teams in the NAC were scoring 50 on them, so Tennessee should win this game 56-7, but we'll see what Tennessee squad shows up. Yeah,
I don't know. I think they'll probably make a lot of mistakes. Tennessee, new offense, new defensive structure, the whole thing. Ohio State, Minnesota. This line's perfect, according to. Plus, you got Ohio State starting a kid who's a red shirt freshman at quarterback. They have a young guy coming in. I think his last name is Ewing. Supposed to be like the real deal, but apparently he's a friend of mine, a big Ohio State fan, says that he's eligible, but just enrolled. He says they got 2 5 and 2 4 high star quarterbacks in the room right now. Warm up the transfer portal. So some of those kids are going to be leaving Ohio State. This kid Ewing's supposed to be as good, if not better, than Trevor Lawrence was coming into college football. So all those kids are going to be bye-bye. But, I mean, you got a 5-star recruit going to start quarterback tonight for Ohio State against a Minnesota team that really struggled last year, but they have that running back who is phenomenal for Minnesota. So I think 14's right on the number.
Yeah, this one scared me. I couldn't go either way. Ohio State should win, but in Minnesota on Thursday night, you got Tanner Morgan at quarterback. You got that talented running back. Minnesota did play with some top teams last year.
I bet against them and faded them all year last year. I made a ton of money, but I think they could bounce back this year because they're they're an older team. They have good leadership, and they got some talent.
And you got that quarterback making his first start in the road, and Minnesota's a tough place to play. Mm-hmm. If I had to go one way, I'd take Minnesota in the points, but I don't trust it enough neither because, again, Ohio State's got the more athletic team.
They got the better team talent-wise, yeah. There's
absolutely.
No doubt about that.
Yeah. Minnesota's a Big Ten team, but they're not athletic, and they don't have the athletes like Ohio State does.
So, and that's it for the games we see up on here, Sean. Let's run down some of the other ones here real quick. What's the next game on your docket there?
So I had a Wagner Buffalo. I don't think we really want to cover that.
I think Buffalo smokes them.
Yeah,
Buffalo is one of the better, smaller teams, but I don't know what Wagner brings to the table. That might be a game you might look at the over on because Buffalo could run. How many points? What's the over under?
54.
And Buffalo could score 54 by themselves.
Yeah. So
I wouldn't be surprised if they did. What's the next spot?
Western Illinois, Ball State minus 31.
Yeah, I don't know much about that spot. Okay, next game.
LIU versus FIU. That's another one.
I don't even know who the hell LIU was. Long Island University? They play football? I thought they just partied out on the Hamptons, and that's it.
And you got Florida International. They're giving up 35.
Yeah, too many for me. I have no idea who the other team is.
Here's one I do like. You got the Citadel versus Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina arrived on the scene last year. Grayson McCall at quarterback. You want to talk about a pro prospect? He is that. They're gonna smoke the Citadel, and I'm taking the minus 32 here as an official play.
Yeah, they had a good defense last year too. Yeah, Teal and whatever they call themselves.
Yeah, so the Citadel shouldn't score much, and Coastal Carolina could score at will whenever they want. It's Grayson McCall. If you've never watched him, try to find it. They'll be on some this year from last year. They'll be on some national TV games watching. He's a really great quarterback.
All right, what's next?
South Florida, we already covered. UC Davis and Tulsa. Tulsa giving up 21.5.
Yeah, I don't know about that either. Tulsa probably should win that game, but I don't know anything about UC Davis, so I can't look at anything there. All right, so next up.
Utah giving up 28.5 to Weber State.
To Weber State, yeah. I mean, Utah probably wins that game. They're the better squad. They're in the better conference. Bigger team. They should compete for the Pac-10 title again. One of those teams that always kind of under the radar, but overachieving. I would probably lean Utah in that spot for sure. Next up.
UT Martin versus Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky giving up 22 points.
Yeah, I would probably, I don't know. I would just stay away from that game unless you know something about either team.
Well, Western Kentucky wasn't bad last year. I mean, I would lean Western Kentucky there, but they are not a team that's going to score a ton of points. So giving up 22 is tough. A lot. Yeah.
Houston Baptist against New Mexico, right?
Yeah, New Mexico giving up 24.5.
Yeah, they probably run all over them.
This is a toss-up one. Eastern Washington at UNLV, and Eastern Washington is a 1.5 favorite.
Yeah, well, they could probably cover that spot. I mean, UNLV is not known for football. They're more known for basketball throughout the years, and even that they're not known for anymore. And then, good school if you want to go and become into casinos, right? They have some of the best hotel management courses in the country, obviously. But I don't know about how many football players want to be in hotel management.
Then we get crazy Southern Utah at Arizona State. Arizona State giving up 45 points, which they probably cover.
Here's a play for you in this game. I'm actually going to bet this game, Sean. And I'm not going to bet Arizona State. What I'm going to do is, if you look at the line, right, the line is minus 45 for Arizona State, correct?
Yep.
And then the over-under is 55.5, right?
Correct.
So what they're telling you is that Arizona State is going to be doing all that heavy lifting. But there's only like a 10-point difference between the over and the spread. So all you got to basically do is find in the course of two halves, 10 extra points for that game, 11 extra points for that game to go over. That's not a whole lot of points for that game to go over. If Southern Utah can score 2 touchdowns, and I think they'll score 2 touchdowns, if Southern Utah can get to 14, that means if Arizona State's to cover, that puts you at 59. So two touchdowns from Southern Utah, 1.5. You go over in that game. I'm going to put $25 on the over in that spot. Remember that little trick right there, the kind of walkthrough that I put in there. It works out pretty well.
Yeah, the only thing I don't know if Southern Utah's going to score 2 touchdowns there, and
they might not need to score 2 touchdowns. I mean, I could see Arizona State putting up 60.
Yeah, so then if they're going to do that, then I would just take the spread.
Well, 45 to me, why would you take 45? I mean, I would take 55.
I just don't think Southern Utah's they might score a field goal in this game.
They're going to score at least 2 touchdowns. You'll see.
Okay.
I have no question in my mind they'll score at least 2 touchdowns.
This is my redemption. I'm not making an official bet, but this is my redemption for your UAB call yesterday. So
I don't know that if it's redemption at all. Yeah. Just can make you look doubly foolish.
There you go.
Right. So, all right. So that covers that. Let's see. We got a few comments here. I have a free 25 bet. LOL. Chattanooga versus Austin P. I don't know.
That one.
What's up, fellas? What's up, Razor Sharp? How are you today, man? Be all over that. Be all over that over right there in Arizona State versus Southern Utah. You can take that one. You can't. I don't like giving myself. I'm not superstitious, but I don't like to jinx myself. You can't take it to the bank. It's just one of those things that I have found throughout the years when the spread is that close to the total. Those games go over like crazy. So I'm all over the over in that spot. All the other stuff I'll pass on today. Let's work it on over to the Major League Baseball, Sean. What do you think about the schedule, light schedule tonight? So we don't have a lot to go over. Let's bring up the baseball. Right now you have Miami and the New York Mets. The Mets are minus 151. They have a horrible offense. One of the worst. I think they actually have the worst offense at all in terms of scoring runs at home. So I can't back the Mets. I can't back Miami. Maybe take the under in this game. Both pitchers are okay.
Yeah, but you got Carrasco going for the Mets, though, and he hasn't been pitching all that great. So that would make me nervous there. And that would also make me nervous as far as taking the Mets as a win bet here. But I don't want to take Miami, so this was a pass for me.
Well, I mean, if you think the Mets can't score and you like Miami, they're a good plus line.
No, I think the Mets are going to give up runs, but I also don't know how – I don't trust Miami's offense, essentially.
So Miami is the Mets have a huge power ranking advantage. Then they have a huge run line advantage in terms of the home away matchup. And the simulator says that the Mets win this game about 60% of the time. The thing is, you have to pay. You're not going to pay that much for it. So minus 160 means you're going to win about 60% of the time. Right on target. So there's decent value in the Mets. I just wouldn't touch them.
And that line actually came down because earlier the Mets were like minus 190. So,
So some money back in Miami. Boston and Tampa Bay. I thought, man, I'm going to really hop on Tampa Bay. McClanahan can throw hard, and they dominate at home. But according to advanced metrics, this is Rodriguez has a huge pitching advantage over McClanahan. Boston's got to find their way back into the division, and they have to win some games. So I'm going to pass.
Yeah, I was the same way. Boston stole that one yesterday. Maybe that's a start of something for them here. I didn't want to pay minus 165 for Tampa.
Me either. The Cubs and the Pirates. Cubs are minus 128. That's the best number you can get if you like Pittsburgh to win a game. They were plus 139. Looks like some money is starting to back the Pirates because they've moved down to minus 118. The public says that what do you think of this spot, Sean?
Well, when I'm looking at the pitching matchup, I thought the Cubs, but then I saw the odds, and I'm not taking the Cubs at minus 135. Like, that's just too much, but I also don't like the pitching matchup for the Pirates. So,
well, I think this game is an easy win for the Cubs, Sean. Mitch Keller, lifetime ERA of almost 6 against the Cubs, and it's over almost 8 in Wrigley Field. Now, to be fair, it's kind of cool around here today, so I don't expect a whole lot of runs, but I think there'll be some runs. The Cubs are clearly playing better baseball. I mean, they just went into Minnesota. I don't even think they'll let Minnesota score the last 2 games, so their pitching has been much stronger. They do have the pitching matchup advantage here. Both pitchers aren't very good, but the difference is Thompson in Wrigley Field has an ERA under 2. So he's pitched exceptionally well at home, probably feels good with some of that Chicago-style pizza, or maybe it's the Chicago-style hot dogs that do it for him. But nonetheless, I think the Cubs make easy work of the Pirates today. They always make easy work of the Pirates. Another 25 on the Chicago Cubs, the hometown Cubs for me, Sean. I think they take this game. Looking at the money is backing the Cubs about 60-40. About 60% of the money is on the Cubs. About 40% of the money is on the Pirates. All the smart people should back up. That number should move closer to 100 on the Cubs after the show.
So what odds did you get? And I agree with
minus 128.
I agree with Razor there. Easy winner and Cubs shouldn't be said in the same sentence.
Well, when you're playing the Pirates.
Yeah.
Right? And you're playing the Pirates.
You've said the Cubs are still a AAA team. So,
yeah, but the Pirates are a AA team. They have been perennially a AA team.
They both aren't major league teams. We'll agree with that.
So I think the Cubs win tonight because this kid Keller, it's a pitching matchup. The guy's just gotten smoked at Wrigley Field. The other kid, Thompson, pitches really well. The Cubs have a much better bullpen, and they're playing better now. It seems like this kid Wisdom, the kid Ortega, there's another guy in the lineup now. Some of these kids that they brought in to replace Rizzo and Bryant and Baez, they're hitting the ball. I really like this kid Ortega at the top of the lineup. They're a player or two away from maybe being competitive next year to go out and sign some decent pitching, and I think they'll be better than you expect.
I agree, but then when I looked at the odds, I just, sometimes we weigh too much, especially me, in the starting pitchers because, after a few innings or whatever, they go to the bullpens and that's all out the window and it's a tie game. And then
if that's your thinking, the Cubs by far have a better bullpen.
Well, it's still the Cubs. I wasn't taking them as this heavy of a favorite.
And in recency, so recency bias, the Cubs have actually been a much better home team than the Pirates have been on home away team, even after the trade. So Cubs have played much better at home than the Pirates, and the Cubs have a dominant run line advantage. Pittsburgh is one of the worst teams in baseball at scoring runs. Cubs get the 3, maybe 4. They win this game. I think they get the 4. Maybe not easy, but I think they get the 4. Next game is Cleveland versus Kansas City. Any takers there for you, Sean?
No, I was looking at Cleveland, but Cleveland's 25-27 versus lefty, so it really doesn't matter. They're about a 500 club either way. This was a pass for me. Yeah,
this game is a 50-50 game, and you're getting a negative line on both teams. I can't do it, right? If one of them had a plus line, maybe I would think about but Cleveland, the run line advantage belongs to Kansas City. The power ranking advantage belongs to Cleveland. It's about a 52, 53, 47, 48 in terms of simulation. Both teams are underwater. Kansas City's underwater at home. The Indians or the Guardians are underwater on the road. 50-50. You need a plus line to take either squad. I'm not taking either squad. Finally, you got Colorado versus Atlanta. Atlanta just kept getting one run by me by the Dodgers, killing my 2 bets the last 2 days. Colorado is infinitely better at home than they are on the road. Touki Toussaint, my favorite name in all of baseball, versus maybe my second favorite name, Chichi Gonzalez. Which do you prefer, Chichi or Touki?
Tukey. I'm taking the Braves here, and I like Colorado at home, but Chichi Gonzalez is not a good pitcher, and the Braves should be able to score a ton of runs against him.
You would think so, yeah. Again, this is a 50-50 spot, but Colorado does have the power ranking advantage, a pretty good one, too. They're better at home than the Braves are on the road, though the Braves aren't bad on the road. They have a winning record on the road. And Colorado scores a lot more runs at home than they do on the road. I don't know what the over-under is on this. Let's take a look at your total.
13.
Oh God, no! Forget that. I'm not going over 13. But
and we talked about
a lot of runs in this game.
Coors Field, there's actually been a lot more unders this year than there has been overs. But I couldn't play the under with this pitching matchup neither. But I'm not trying to go over 13. I had minus 160. What's the best line you can get for the Braves?
Yeah, Razor says his high school team could beat the Cubs. They probably could. For the Braves. For the Braves, the best line, what do you want to do with it? Over? I mean, the game is minus 153.
Okay. Yeah. Lock me in for the Braves at minus 153.
All right. And then that's it for baseball. One other thing, but I'm not sure if it started already yet. So let me take a look at something here real quick. The World Cup qualifying, is the U.S. playing already? I didn't know that they were playing already. I thought they played a little later on in the day today. Let me look it up real quick. I apologize. So you have Canada, Mexico, and the United States all playing today. The whole world is starting to play for World Cup qualifying next year. That'll be a ton of fun. I look forward to that. But World Cup qualifying, the U.S. versus – okay, so they're playing right now. They're not playing. They don't play today until 9 o'clock my time, so 10 o'clock Eastern. So Canada is at home against Honduras. Canada is fast. They're young. They're aggressive. They win that game. 10%, 20% chance, stupid soccer tie. Mexico at home against Jamaica. Mexico wins that game easily, hands down. If they're playing in Jamaica, I'd be more concerned about the stupid soccer tie. I'm not worried about the stupid soccer tie. Mexico will find a way to win that game, 1-0, 2-1, something along those lines. And then finally, the good old red, white, and blue. They're going to play in El Salvador tonight. They're not going to have their star, Christian Pulisic, who's still recovering some COVID, maybe some lingering leg issues. Probably they just don't feel like they need to play him. Let him get fully recovered for some later qualifying games. The U.S. goes down to El Salvador and wins. You put those 3 teams together, Sean, and you have a plus 134 3-team World Cup qualifying soccer parlay. Because of the opportunity to get a stupid soccer tie, I'm only going to put 15 on it. And that, my friends, is a wrap in terms of picks today, Sean.
Yeah, so we're kind of all over the place. We
got soccer, college football, baseball. Sean's trying to jinx the Arizona State overgame against Southern Utah. He's mad at me for telling him that his squad yesterday would score 0 points, and they did score 0. And then he got mad and said, okay, I'll give him 3. I should have just stuck to 0.
Yeah. But I feel I feel pretty good about the college games today. You got 15 of them, so you can kind of pick what you like. And the 3 I chose, I like a lot.
Well, I like the over tonight because, like I said, all you got to do is find 10 points, my friend. We find 10 points, whether that's 5 points from Southern Utah and 5 points from Arizona State, or it's all of it from Arizona State or all of it from Southern Utah. I don't care. Just find me 11 points and I have an over.
Yeah.
That's it.
Exactly. I would like to, so even the team total, it's probably only 10 for Southern Utah. If you do the math, 10.5 or
something
like that. It's not always the same, but it'd be something like that. So that's a really low number. But like I said, I don't expect them to score. I find it hard pressed to see Southern Utah score a touchdown tonight.
He has Boise State game going under 65. Let's see where that number. I think
under 68.
So many of these games, like I said, you could tell that they're going. I have it going over by 0.2 of a point, 0.02 of a point. So 68.52. So I hope it goes 68.52 for you, Razor. It would be amazing if it did, because it'd be the first time in sports history we got that kind of score. All right, Sean, anything else you want to bring up today before we roll?
No, we'll be back at it tomorrow with the same type of, I don't know what soccer schedule looks like, but again, a lot of college games and some baseball.
Yeah, and then tonight, Sean and I, for those of you like horse racing, our sponsor, Horse Racing Radar, we have a good guest on tonight for the show. We'll be covering some big races at Del Mar, the Del Mar Derby being one of them, with Jay Privman, right? Is that his last name, Privman?
Yep.
He's one of the main people over at the Daily Racing Forum, the DRF. So we should learn quite a lot tonight about horse racing and some of the things he likes in terms of angles, insights. He's a regular at the Southern California track, so maybe we'll learn some good stuff tonight. So check that out at 9:30 on YouTube. You can just Google in or search, not Google in YouTube, but Horse Racing Radar TV. You'll find us right away, or check us out at Racing Radar on Facebook and on Twitter. And if they want to follow us here, Sean, they should head over to Moneyline Madmen, register. And where else can they follow us?
Facebook and Twitter. Moneyline Madmen.
Fantastic. All right, Sean, been fun. Hopefully my Southern Utah team scores at least 14 points tonight. And if they do, guess where I'll see you? Cash in the winner, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. All right. 23 hours and 30 minutes to the next show, folks. See you then. Good luck with all your bets. I hope they're all winners.